If you could make everyone in the world speak a universal language that is not your native language, which would you choose, and why? Simlish. That would be funny F. Sul-sul. Huba Nobi? Kubal Nobi Donkey? I would love to say English, but it would need to be pronounced as it's written. Simple to learn. Check. Onomatopoeic? Check. Can anything be used as a verb? Google it. Check. Good percent of the world already speaks it to some degree. Check. No check. English can be weird. It can be understood through tough thorough thought, though. English. It's the only second language I have learned good enough to ask for another beer without buying a carpet. What happened over here? G backquote shits to Northern Paul and Ergerton? Elvish. Tolkien didn't work on that for nothing. It is largely based on Finnish. Apart from the fact that it's unethical, I would create a language like this. Take 110 people who speak only English, 110 who speak only Mandarin, 60 who speak only Hindi, and 50 who speak only Spanish. Put them all in an isolated location with no internet for about 1 to 2 generations. In a context where each language group starts with unique but essential skills / knowledge / resources, so that they must work together to survive. At first they'll try to stick to their language groups, but start to learn words from each other's languages here and there. Then people will start to communicate by cobbling words from each of the languages together any old how. Then children will be born who begin to make sense of this mishmash of words and create a grammar for it. It'll normally be a bare minimum amount of simple rules about how to construct a sentence, and the pronunciation gets vastly simplified too. Then after a few generations I'd go back to the location, learn those kids' language, and get them to teach it to everyone in the world, because they'll teach it better than I could. Why the weird ratio? 4 of the most common languages and the approximate ratios that they are spoken in the world, basically trying to make it the easiest to learn language for the largest number of people. Millimeters. Unethical but interesting. Thanks. C. C-ash. C++. Woof. Woof 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 woof. Spoiler alert, wait. Kale died in Endgame. NOOO. He was my favorite character. Ancient Sanskrit. That way everyone will be forced to relearn language and no one has an advantage, except ancient language experts. Esperanto, because somebody already put the work in to give us a European universal language and it sounds quite nice. Also, it's highly regular. F.X. All singular nouns end in O, and all present tense verbs end in as, making it quite easy to learn. PSP 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 PSP. Meow. Klingon. A linguist actually did an experiment with his son, wherein his wife would speak English with their son, but he would only speak Klingon, in order to test the viability of Klingon as a language. What ended up happening only a few years in is that the son decided that Klingon was just too difficult a language to use, that he just stopped talking to his dad. Shortly thereafter, he decided the experiment was over and went back to speaking English with his kid. For the record, the son doesn't remember any of this and turned out perfectly okay, and this is generally the best way to teach a kid a second language. Anyway, I have a cousin whose wife is from Ukraine. She spoke Ukrainian to their son, while my cousin spoke English to him. When he first started talking, he would speak to men in English and women in Ukrainian. That's so interesting. Judun. Couldn't resist a Sifi language. Judun. Alright then. That's interesting. Yo no ho foko flow. Swahili. Swahili, also known by its native name Kiswahili, is a Bantu language and the first language of the Swahili people. This mellifluous language is concise, expressive, and colorful. English, because it is the language I know the best apart from my native one. Yada yada yada, you get the point. I'm trying to say that for most people this is already the case. Yes, English actually helps to avoid conflict between states in my country, India. Thanks to its southern states, can communicate easily with Hindi. Northern states, maybe one of the things we can thank Britain for. Norwegian. Then we'd all sound happy all the time. Love from your neighbor. Exactly. I wanted to comment this. I love how it sounds, and you don't have to conjugate verbs. So easy. Japanese, so I can turn everyone into a weeb. Latin, because it is the root for many vastly spoken languages. Plus it's excellent for any rituals involving chanting. Some form of sign language. We had this discussion in my ASL class and I think sign language would work well for a universal language, because it is easy to pick up, and is very useful, because it is gesture based and most people can understand gestures, even if they don't understand your language. I disagree. Signed languages are not in any way universal. It is also not a gestural language, as in only composed of commonly understood gestures, but is in fact fully developed, and capable of abstract communication just like spoken languages. Even the most rudimentary versions of gestures are not cross-cultural. Just look at giving the middle finger. In the US, that means fuck you, but in many other countries it has no meaning at all. Source: I have a master's degree in studying signed languages, and am a professional interpreter. Signed languages are not in any way universal. Yeah, but the prerogative here is, if you could make one language universal. So the form of sign language chosen would be Flemish, because it is almost like Dutch and I'm Dutch. Thank you for being another language. Flemish, but still being basically the same as Dutch. English, because I speak it better than my native language. Native. Are you sure about that? I think you have stumbled upon a joke, sir. Parseltongue. That one's easy. AHHHHHSEEEWF. Harseth Greendreth. The fuck you say to me, you little shit? Caveman sounds. Ungabungus? We have a thing like this in the Balkans. It's called the Inter-Slavic language. You can speak in your Slavic language and they can speak in their Slavic language and we all understand each other. Really? Can you tell me more about that? German, because everything you say sounds like you wanna kill the other person. English, because I speak it so well it may as well be my native language. But it isn't. Spanish is. Say hello to Big Brain Time. Can we select the dialect? If so, English, UK. If we are selecting a dialect for English, it's gotta be the dialect used during Shakespeare's time. That or Australian. Who wouldn't want a bunch of British Texans? German. I just love how it sounds when spoken. Need Sie mich plunam w tours. NICC nam Germany. So viel dazu. Esperanto was created exactly for this purpose. BSL. Or ASL. IDK, a universal sign language, so we can communicate with deaf people with no barriers. And the blind, or those with RAP, ASL mute. Wingdings. Minecraft enchantment table alphabet.